Sears is in trouble, closing thousands of stores and losing billions of dollars. But once upon a time, Sears transformed the way Americans shopped. Back in the late 1800s in Minnesota, Richard Sears was spending his days as a railroad station agent. Until one day, he sold some watches from a local jeweler and realized he was really good at selling. So in 1886, he started a mail-order company, the R.W. Sears Watch Company, and eventually hired a watchmaker, Alva C. Roebuck. And in 1893, Sears, Roebuck & Co. was born. Sears then became a very successful mail-order catalog company. This business model broke the mold. Remember, most Americans were living in small towns with access to only a few stores. They often made their own clothes and furniture, or did without. Sears' early catalogs only featured watches and jewelry, but soon, these catalogs were more than 500 pages long. People could buy anything from shoes, wagons, stoves, and musical instruments. Sometimes, people even bought their homes directly from Sears. And because Sears bought in bulk, the company was able to charge customers lower prices. In 1925, Sears opened its first retail location in Chicago. And it wasn't just retail. Sears had a radio station, a mortgage business, a credit card. Sears was everywhere. Annual sales hit $1 billion in 1945. The next year, sales doubled. Once Americans started to move to the booming suburbs after World War II, Sears began investing to help build malls. By 1970, Sears was considered untouchable by its rivals. But not all stories have a happy ending. As the 20th century came to a close, so did Sears' reign.
Road to impeachment. What a week. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, a little exhausted, maybe even a little confused, well, that's understandable. The bombs went off in rapid clusters this week, and they're still exploding even today. News that President Trump pressured the president of Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden's son. Boom. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announces an impeachment inquiry. Boom. The White House releases a rough phone call transcript confirming the whistleblower account. Boom. The House releases the redacted whistleblower complaint, and here's testimony from acting DNI Joseph McGuire, who calls the situation unprecedented. Boom. The word that comes to my mind is seismic. And just within the past 24 hours, more aftershocks. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has been subpoenaed. We have a member of one of the committees who subpoenaed him on in just a minute. Here's tonight's headline. It just got real. This, folks, is just the beginning. The dam has broken, and we all need to prepare ourselves for what will be a constant flood of new revelations, important revelations, as this process unfolds. We must also be prepared for the flood of misinformation, misdirection, obfuscation, distraction that will come for the president and his supporters. And to that end, Trump is calling for Congressman Adam Schiff's resignation, calling him a sick man. He's called for the whistleblower and the people who gave him information to be treated as traitors and handled accordingly. He tweeted earlier today, "Can you imagine if these do-nothing Democrat savages, people like Nadler, Schiff, AOC +3, and many more, had a Republican Party who would have done to Obama what the do-nothings are doing to me? Oh, well, maybe next time." He has already flooded Twitter with rantings and ravings, all designed to confuse and clutter the process. But here's the deal. Through all of it, you just have to trust your gut and common sense. There's been a lot of spin surrounding the whistleblower complaint and the transcript of Trump's phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky, but you be the judge. On page 2 of the rough call log, Zelensky brings up military funding for Ukraine. He says, "We are almost ready to buy more javelins from the U.S. for defense purposes." The next words out of Trump's mouth: "I would like you to do us a favor, though." Trump's Republican defenders insist there's no explicit quid pro quo there, but common sense says the military aid is dependent upon agreeing to whatever favor Trump is about to request. He later makes the ask, urging Zelensky to investigate the Bidens. On Monday, Trump shrugs off the news, defending his call with Zelensky, saying, Why would you give money to a country that you think is corrupt? Common sense, says Trump himself right there, was tying the military aid to an investigation of Biden. Trump defenders are spinning the call and the allegations in the whistleblower complaint as, quote, nothing more than a collection of third-hand accounts of events and cobbled together press clippings, all of which shows nothing improper. That's according to White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham. But common sense? Well, when the White House admits that it directed the call transcript to be locked down and filed in a separate classified system where few people could see it, well, that sounds like there's plenty improper. To a lot of people, that sounds like a cover-up, in fact. Guys, Trump is hoping that we're too stupid to put these pieces together. He's betting he can gaslight his way through this and create enough confusion and chaos that we get too tired and overwhelmed to see it as clearly as it really is. But this isn't complicated. It's pretty darn crystal clear. Now, whether this results in his impeachment is another story, and I have been very hesitant to jump on that bandwagon thus far, namely because there simply wasn't enough there, and impeachment is generally bad for America. But we've crossed the Rubicon, folks. There is simply no way around opening an impeachment inquiry. It's the right thing to do, and the time is now.
In 1964, the Olympics came to Tokyo.
There can only be one winner.
These seats were filled with the pride of a nation. Not only was it the first time the world's most prestigious games were held in the East, it was a declaration of Japan's recovery from World War II, a symbol of endurance and revitalization.
Awarded to the city of Tokyo.
And a symbol that once again rings true going forward to 2020.
In the sporting goods industry, Olympic is biggest moment for the company.
When Japan seized the global spotlight, so did ASICS, as CEO Motoi Oyama recalls.
Japan is quite famous textile country for the textile industry. Therefore, this company is the first company to use nylon materials for the upper of the running shoes, even wrestling shoes.
A company born in 1949, originally they called themselves Onitsuka, and they excelled in one thing: footwear. So much so that when Nike founder Phil Knight came to Japan as a student, he was inspired to create Nike after distributing Onitsuka shoes in the US. Today, ASICS has a reputation for making some of the world's best running shoes, bringing the Japanese eye for quality to the sporting world. Where in the world is most of the innovation happening in your industry right now?
Technology, probably Japan. Industrial material will be in Japan.
You've got to see the upcoming Olympics as an opportunity to really show to the world what your company in particular has to offer. Are you feeling the pressure?
Before the Olympic, a 4-year term is a preparation period. Then, as I said, the opening day of the next Olympic in 2020 is the first day that the stage that we introduce a new technology or product.
And so the countdown begins, starting here, the ASICS Institute of Sports Science. This is where you're custom making shoes for Olympic athletes.
Yes, of course. This room, the target is not only Olympic Games, but also others, professional player and the professional athlete.
When it comes to designing shoes for the future, ASICS intends to, excuse my pun, put their best foot forward. Every last detail counts. All of the fabrics, foams, everything is an ASICS creative material.
Exactly.
And you do that all here, you're developing that all here.
Yes, so every material born in here.
Dr. Tsuyoshi Nishiwaki has been breathing this world for almost 30 years. His specialty is most certainly unique: soles.
This sole can produce so many functions: cushioning, flexibility, and stability, and fitting, and durability. And this is, in my opinion, so this sole is most favorite part, and
this is your favorite part of the shoe.
Exactly.
His latest project is called Flight Foam, a sole that ASICS believes addresses the challenge of being both lightweight and having stable cushioning.
For Tokyo 2020, so now we already started so new material development.
So what's next after flight foam? You can't tell me? Oh.
Every shoe company in the world is in a race to bring that edge to an athlete or team. But it's more than just developing lighter and more durable material. It's about finding that balance where technology can unlock human potential.
So this is the foot measurement room, and every athlete who gets one of those custom pairs of shoes has to have their feet scanned in here. So there've actually been some pretty big names that are gonna do what I'm about to do.
Obviously, I'm no Olympian, but for the sake of journalism, I'll give it a go.
Do you guys think this is a bit too much?
More than 40 reflective markers are attached to my body in preparation for this motion analysis. As I run, cameras track every part of how my body moves, the angles at which my knees bend, how my arms fold.
But I was so surprised that your running form is very, very beautiful.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
A compliment I gladly take in stride. This science is an integral part of an athlete's ability to push boundaries and break records, most recently supporting Japan's men's relay team as they made history in Rio, coming only 0.33 seconds behind Usain Bolt and his Jamaican teammates, and ultimately gearing up once again to bring the best of Japanese precision to the limelight.